Well, let's get right into the blog post then. For anyone who
Sure.
hasn't read it, can you give I guess a brief overview of the point you were trying to make with it and what it's
Uh,
about?
yeah. So I I wrote this essay called Linux Asceticism, and like it was basically the result of me seeing a possible connection between two concepts, like that I was already interested in, like. And I tried to relate them to each other. Like the first concept is ascetic philosophies of living that affected my worldviews, like Stoicism, Epicureanism, and so on. And like the second is the operating system that I use, like Linux. And the idea is that most of the practices that you do when using like minimal kind of a Linux distribution actually uh, aligns really well with what Stoics and other Greek philosophies of living would call ascesis, like the disciplined practices that are done for the pursuit of like uh, self improvement.
So when I talked about this, there was a very mixed response. I haven't really
Yeah,
looked deep into the Hacker News thread or the Reddit thread either, but there was a lot of people who thought this seemed kind of like a joke, like what is this post supposed to
yeah.
be? And then other people who I think kind of understood the point you were getting at, but then thought, well, if this is the goal you're trying to achieve, couldn't you go further with it? Because what distro did you say you Nix OS right now?
Like yeah, I started out with Arch Linux
Mhm.
like few years before, 3 years or so, and now I am using NixOS. Like I am not very experienced though. Like, but I just try to express a connection that I saw that could be interesting to some.
Well, I saw some people saying, well, if this is the idea you're going for, why don't you do, say, Linux from scratch, for example,
Yeah,
or
yeah, you can
Gentoo?
completely do that as well. Like
Mhm.
when you think about this way, though, there is no stopping point. Like you can just throw out your computer and do all this stuff. And I think it's perfectly okay to do Linux from scratch as well. Like it's for me, it's kind of contextual. Like we also have things to do, like chores to do, we have deadlines, all these sort of stuff, and the ascesis part is for me is a bonus that I really like to do on my free time. So if I'm given free time enough, sure, I would like to do all of those stuff as well. Like um, yeah, like there is nothing wrong with them, if you ask me.
Right, you're trying to take in some of these practices, but you're not, you know, taking a full Buddhist monk lifestyle, sacrificing
Of
all
course,
of
of
your
course.
worldly possessions to focus only
Yeah,
on using Linux.
yeah, of course. So like one problem, one possible problem with that essay was that I wrote it in a very casual way, like in a very short period of time, like while traveling from one city to another. So like I never expected to reach such a large audience, at least large for me. And after like seeing some misunderstandings about it, like I felt like I could have explained things in much more detail, but it was already posted back then. So like I know that the essay might be a bit shallow for those who are expecting a deeper connection between the concepts, but like it was something that I have done just for like how do you say, maybe fun or something like that.
Have you considered reapproaching the topic and doing more of a deep dive?
Yeah, maybe I can write about it in the future as well. Like I also like maybe I can add some sort of an addendum kind of stuff in the essay and so on. Like when you think about it, there seem to be lots of connections between these kind of unrelated seeming topics. But once you know those, it becomes easier to connect them and stuff like that.
Well, we already talked about one of the misunderstandings that people had, where they sort of thought that if this is the idea you want, why don't you go like all the way with
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
But what were some of the other misunderstandings that you came across?
I mean, like maybe about the meaning of asceticism and asceticism, like because like if you like go look at the Wikipedia page of asceticism, like you will most likely see these philosophies of schools like Stoicism, Epicureanism being mentioned, but you also see some like religions like Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, like what else there is, like Hinduism, and so on. And I think this is where confusions may start to arise. Like, although all these religions or schools of thought can be considered to be ascetic, like the concept of asceticism itself isn't necessarily like owned by them. Like,
Right.
yeah, I think that's one of the problems. Like, I think as long as your worldview includes voluntarily facing uncomfortable situations for whatever reason, like it can be uh, considered to be ascetic, I guess. Like whether this is done for redemption, salvation, spirituality, or just to be self-sufficient. Like this was the case for me. Like this is a whole another question. So in the essay, that I tried to use the word ascetic like for the purpose of improving yourself, learning things, to become more capable of using things. It's kind of like working out, like going to gym, like we have talked this about you. Like when you start it, it kind of sucks, but as you get used to them, like the things that first struggled, you becomes very easy. Like you start to feel easy doing them. Your comfort zone kind of gets broadened, expands. So yeah, like I think we can think of asceticism like as the group of philosophies of school, like that embrace challenges, but not necessarily something religious or stuff like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
When you try to, without directly explaining the concept yourself, when you direct people to other resources, most of those resources are going to approach it from that theological stance, because that's the
yeah.
general way it is approached from. When you mentioned like challenging yourself with the gym, I don't know much about Turkey. Are saunas popular in Turkey or not?
Can you repeat
Uh,
the question?
are saunas popular in Turkey?
What's that
A,
exactly?
a, a sauna where it's a room where it gets really hot and you basically sit in there and just sweat for a while.
Oh, sauna.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry,
It
the
exists. It
Australian
exists
accent
in
might
Turkey.
make things
Yeah.
hard to understand as well.
Yes,
Uh,
it
are, are,
exists in Turkey.
are they popular in Turkey? I'm not sure if they're not.
Uh, I am not sure whether they are popular because I don't know how
Okay,
popular they are in other countries
fair
as
enough.
well. So, but there are people going to them like
Mhm.
regularly. So I guess it's something available.
Right. Okay. The point I was getting at there, just so we're clear on the concept of it. If there are any words where I say it weirdly and you're not sure what I'm saying, feel free to ask. There's a very good chance we understand what we're both saying. You just don't
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
my accent. um,
yeah. Same goes also for you. Like,
mhm.
I ask me.
Right. The,
Yeah.
the point I was gonna get at though is I try to like, usually one of my days of going to the gym is just go.
What's that?
That's a giant moth. Jesus. Okay, well that's fine. He's just gonna chill in the room. Um, Okay, one of the days I go to the gym, I try to go to the sauna, and I will usually try to do about 40 minutes on that day. And no matter how many times you do it, yet I might need to find some bug spray. Can it just like sit still? Okay, yeah, chill on the light. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. No matter how many times you go, it sucks every time. But you know that this is the thing that you do. It is part of your schedule.
Yeah.
It's yes, there is certainly a meditative state to it and a relaxation state to it, but ultimately it's just going to suck. And a lot of people feel the same way about working their legs at the gym. A lot of people really don't like doing leg weights. It feels like,
Yeah.
for anyone who doesn't go to the gym, when you do legs, it's a lot worse than arms. When you do heavy weights on your legs, it can feel like your entire body is being drained of energy. If you go hard enough, you will feel sick. If you
Yeah.
go not being able to walk out of the gym is a very unpleasant experience. When you do arms, like, yeah, your arms might feel kind of weak and like wobbly, but when your legs feel wobbly, it's a much, much worse experience. But it's something you have to do. It's part of your routine, and it's gonna suck, but you need to do it. It's good for you. Just do it.
Exactly. Like when you do leg days, it gives you a strong foundation to do other movements as well. Like yes, like the the delayed onset muscle
Mhm,
soreness and all those stuffs really sucks. But in the end, like it really make things easier for your life, like functionally.
mhm,
Like if you don't use your legs properly, like glutes properly, all those stuff, like they are imbalanced also. Like it's also very probable that these imbalances also cause some imbalances in other parts like your back. And
mhm.
so yeah, so same goes for maybe Linux as well, understanding the fundamentals and all those stuff.